Welcome back. In the last step, we got introduced to S3, and in this step, let's get started with a simple demo. I'm already logged into AWS Management Console and I searched for SN3. And I picked up the first option which comes up, which is S3, Scalable Storage in the Cloud. Once the S3 page comes up, you might see a few buckets which are already created in here. Buckets are basically the fundamental container in Amazon S3. If you want to store anything in Amazon S3, you need to store it in a bucket. If you had used other services like Elastic Beanstalk earlier, they would have already created a bucket for you and stored files regarding to that specific service in that specific bucket. Now, let's start with creating a bucket. Let's create a bucket and I'll give it a name. A bucket name in S3 should be globally unique. So it's not just unique in your AWS account, it actually should be unique in the global namespace across all AWS accounts. At a later point in time, we'll actually expose a website based on this bucket, and the bucket name would be part of the URL of the website. And that's the reason why a bucket name cannot have any characters which are not valid in a URL. So you cannot have spaces or uppercase letters or things like that. The next thing you need to choose is a region. One of the interesting things to observe in here is that S3 is a global service. So typically whenever you log into S3, you don't really need to select a region. However, buckets in S3 are associated with a region. So we need to choose which region you would want to use when you create a bucket. So you can choose any region across the world. I'll stay with US East 1, which was the default. The next setting in here is if you want to allow public access to your bucket. There are a number of ways in which you can grant public access. For now, let's choose the default, which is to block all the public access. If you expand the advanced settings, you can actually see something called an object lock. Because of regulations or compliance needs, some enterprises do not want to delete any object in a bucket. So if you don't want to allow deletion of any objects from your bucket, you can enable object lock. If you use object lock, then using bucket versioning is mandatory. You should version the objects which you store into a bucket. We'll talk about object locks and bucket versioning a little later as well. Let's go ahead and disable object lock, which is the default setting, and let's say create bucket. This would create a bucket for us. Let's wait for the creation of the bucket to complete. I'll type in my bucket. So I've typed in my bucket in 28 minutes so that I can actually see the bucket which I would want to see. You can see the name of the bucket, the region, and also the creation timestamp. And you can also see that this bucket is not open to public. Now, if you go inside the bucket, once you are inside a bucket, there are a lot of things that you can do in here. You can see that I can upload files. I can set the properties for the bucket like versioning, logging. I can host a static website using this. I can enable encryption. I can enable logging and things like that. I can play with different permissions as well, access control lists, bucket policy, CORS, and I can also do a lot of management around it. Lifecycle management, I can do replication, I can generate analytics and metrics, and also I can generate an inventory report. And I can configure access for other services for this specific bucket. As you can see in here, S3 is a very flexible service offering you a lot of options. Let's discuss each of this step by step. For now, let's focus on uploading some files to this specific bucket. So we have a bucket and we would want to upload objects to this bucket. How can I upload objects to this bucket? The way you can do that is by saying upload. Let's say upload, and over here you can select the files. I can either choose add files and select the files I would want to upload, or the easier option I like to do is to drag and drop. If you unzip the course download material, you would see that inside the folder S3, there are a lot of files which are present. Let's start with taking just the folder 2030. So take the folder 2030 and drag and drop into the UI. So you can just drag a folder and put it in here. Now what we'll do is click next. Once you click next, you should land up on a page where you can select the storage class. Different use cases have different access requirements. Do I need immediate access to the files? Can I wait for a few hours for a file? And depending on the access requirements, you can use specific storage classes in S3. For now, let's choose the standard storage class. Understanding storage classes is very, very important. We'll discuss each of these storage classes in depth. For now, let's choose the standard storage class and click next. And now I can go ahead and upload these files. Let's go ahead and say upload. It takes a little while. It takes about 30 seconds, I would think, for all the files to be uploaded. And once the upload is completed, you should see something like this. So you are seeing that there is a folder called 2030, inside which there are two folders, and there is a course image. If you go into the folder 10, you should see two more files, and you should see two more files in the folder 11 as well. In this step, we created a bucket and we uploaded a few objects into the bucket. In the next step, let's explore these objects much further. I'll see you in the next step.